Hello everyone and welcome back to coinpressdaily, where we look at daily crypto news and provide opinion and analysis of the global crypto market. And today we are going to be looking at Bitcoin once again. So much is going on with Bitcoin right now. And in today's video we're going to be talking about the halving. A lot of people are talking about the halving right now. So we are going to be taking a look at what that might mean, what other people are saying, a couple of charts and things, and what that could mean for us in terms of buying Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin, the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So let's start with, first of all, explaining what the halving is. So the halving is essentially where the Bitcoin reward for miners is halved. So every 4 years there is something taking place called the Bitcoin halving, and that's that the newly created supply of Bitcoin gets cut in half. And essentially that is the inflation rate of Bitcoin gets cut in half. So the way new Bitcoins are made are by people mining. Now mining takes an enormous amount of computing power. As Bitcoin is decentralized, it's not owned by a bank or a body or anything, and it can't be printed. It's all cryptography and things. It takes computer power to solve the blockchain and to solve the different blocks. And when someone does that, they are rewarded with new Bitcoin. And at the moment, people are getting about, globally, there's about 1,800 Bitcoin made every day. So, like I say, the miners get when they validate the transactions, they get rewarded with the new Bitcoins. Okay. Now, at the moment, I think it says over here at the moment. So at the moment, Bitcoin miners are getting 12.5 Bitcoin at the moment, but people are predicting in 6 weeks the number of Bitcoins produced with each block will be reduced to 6.25, so cutting that in half, and therefore it makes Bitcoin far more scarce. So as we know, Bitcoin has a total number of 21 million. So that is the maximum number of Bitcoin there are globally. We can't make any more. It's not a printable thing. You can't just make any more Bitcoin. That is it. There is only 21 million to be mined. Obviously, there's probably plenty of Bitcoin that's lost as well. So, Bitcoin is starting to become more scarce. And obviously, as this halving is approaching, it means that the miners are rewarded half the amount of Bitcoin that they used to get. Okay, so it's going to take longer for Bitcoin to be fully mined. So let's just take a look at the halving date. So far we've had two already. We've had one in 2012. We had one in 2016. So this is an every 4 year pattern, and we're predicting one coming up very, very soon. Now people are quite excited about this whole halving thing because, as we can clearly see from this chart, that after the halving there is quite a significant price increase. And maybe we are going to be doing the same again around here in 2020. So we're going to have a look at some graphs, a look at some things, some people's opinions, so kind of look short term and long term. But let's just start over here. Analyst Plan B has tweeted a unique chart that looks at Bitcoin stock to flow ratio. Now, just so you know what stock to flow is, stock to flow ratio is the amount of a commodity held in inventories divided by the amount produced annually. So essentially the amount of Bitcoin that we currently have divided by how much Bitcoin is produced annually. And obviously with the halving coming up, it means that less Bitcoin will be produced annually, and therefore that stock to flow ratio will go up, which should mean that there is a price increase. So if we go to Plan B on Twitter, over here you can go follow this account if you want to, and this is the chart that has been created. So this is obviously Bitcoin's price. They've kind of mapped out the months until the next halving, halving and halving. I think people are using both those terms, with the colors, and then our gray line is our stock to flow model. And as you can see, we have these peaks and the price goes up. We have a peak, the price goes up, and we've just come up to another peak. And I've actually input this on TradingView right here, and we can see where these are happening. We have a peak, we have an increase in price, again another peak, an increase in price, peak, increase in price. And quite often if you look these peaks, that there is some form of kind of bearish movement there before a rally, and this is where we are right now. Obviously we are on the 1st of April. This happened in the middle of March. So if we're just purely looking at the pattern in the chart, I mean, it's kind of safe to say that the same thing is going to happen. We are on this downtrend, and we are going to be potentially moving to the upside, which, if we look at this graph here, we can clearly see this is happening. So that is a long-term prediction here. Maybe we are going to be hitting the moon, we're going to be soaring up in price, and as we said, we've had a huge crash in the market, which has made Bitcoin become much cheaper than it has been for a while. So maybe it is a good time to get in. Obviously this isn't any kind of financial advice, this is pure opinion and speculation, but if looking at these charts and if everything follows the pattern, then things are looking pretty good at the moment. So we've already explained Bitcoin stock to flow. So what is Bitcoin stock to flow? Is the stock to flow is a number that shows how many years at the current production rate are required to achieve the current stock. Okay, and obviously with the halving, it's going to take longer and longer to mine all of the Bitcoin, and therefore making it more scarce. Now, people are, comparing Bitcoin now, to precious metals. Bitcoin is becoming more scarce, and Bitcoin is the first scarce digital object the world has ever seen. Scarce like silver and gold, but it can be sent over the internet, radio, and satellite. So, like we've said in the previous video about electronic transfers being the way forward, especially at the moment with coronavirus and the whole social distancing aspect, is this going to really significantly push Bitcoin very, very, very high indeed? Now, just on that note, in order to continue and hold the value, Bitcoin obviously must achieve mass adoption and fend off competition from rival altcoins. So obviously there is a bit of competition here. Bitcoin, whilst it is, I suppose, the beast, it's the god of all cryptocurrencies, there are a lot of other good coins out there that could potentially take over. So, things are looking pretty interesting at the moment, given this kind of stock to flow analysis of Bitcoin and how the Bitcoin price reacts to that. And naturally, obviously, it's a supply and demand. So if we're going to increase its scarcity, all of a sudden Bitcoin becomes there's less Bitcoin for the people, and therefore that will drive the price up. This huge drop as well, kind of liquidating the coin, gives it a lot more room now to potentially consolidate at this lower price before being driven up. So with that being said, let's look at kind of the short term and maybe what we can expect. So this is on a daily chart. Now we talked about, if we go to the weekly chart, we talked about the 200-week moving average and how Bitcoin has never broken that in the history of Bitcoin. If you missed that, then go and watch the first video. I'll leave a link in the description or floating around in the video somewhere. As we can see, we landed really icely on the 200-week moving average like we did before back in sort of 2018 into 2019. And it's happened, if we go back even further, this 200-day sits really nicely underneath those candles. And when we had our huge crash earlier in March, on 12th of March, you can see we fell right down from that 10k mark all the way down to the 200-week moving average, which is good. It's a nice strong position, and at the moment it looks pretty stable. So let's look short term, because this is what might catch some people out. We've obviously had this rally here, down from that 4,900 up to 600, and plenty of people are talking about that 7k mark. Now, if we really look short term, we just look at an upward trend. This is our channel, obviously roughly drawn there, but this is our channel, and if this were an uptrend or going to push us beyond that 7k, we should be up here by now, and we've broken out of this channel. Our stochastic RSI is right there at the top. There's clearly plenty of room for it to drop significantly. So in the first video that I created for this channel, we talked about that 200-week moving average, and we also talked about a few levels to have a look at. Well, if we are breaking down, we're going to most likely make a lower low. We are in a bear market, so that's how the chart moves. We're going to test a lower low, or at least definitely going to come down and test this 4,900 mark, maybe even go lower, because these wicks are really sticking low to that 4k mark. But the next level to really look out for if we are going lower is the 3k ish mark, which is where we landed back here at the beginning of 2019. That's the next level. That was really strong support, a really long period of consolidation before a very, very big rally. We went from 3.5k ish all the way up to a peak of 13, 14k. And if you're in on that trade, like, you're an absolute hero. You probably made an awful amount of money on that trade if you had been in it from the start. So short term, like I say, we're looking at very much a more downward motion. Definitely keep an eye out for that 3k. But if we're looking bigger picture, and as we've seen in these halving charts, if we look bigger picture, whilst we've had a little rally out, we're coming down, maybe we're going to retest this right here is that 3 grand mark back in 2019. We're going to come down and maybe test that. But if we're holding true to this pattern, when we hit the halving, there could be quite a significant increase. I mean, that, whilst it looks small on this chart, that is a huge move to the upside. Equally, if we are looking at the stock to flow chart as well, and given that we've had these peaks and that we're going to be having this halving, it looks like that potentially we could have quite a serious push to the upside. That is a long-term picture, so if you're going to be don't think this is going to happen in the next month or so. It's definitely going to take a little while. Obviously, they're estimating the Bitcoin halving to be around May. This is Plan B on Twitter, estimating it to be around May time, which kind of adds up because it was, I think, in July-ish sort of time last time 4 years ago. So it's kind of adding up. But as we said before, we need there needs to be that mass adoption to the coin in order to push it further, which is also looking quite promising, given that we had, and if you haven't watched yesterday's video, then watch the mainstream is Bitcoin becoming mainstream video, where we're talking about obviously down to coronavirus, electronic payments, people not being able to leave the house and do banking. Are cryptos the way forward? Is the decentralized bank the way forward? And obviously with the US printing millions of dollars in paper money and therefore devaluing the currency, does that make cryptos a more stable currency? That all tied in with this halving and the fact that we've had this huge crash at the moment, and with all these charts as well, with the stock to flow, things are looking long term potentially very, very rewarding. So that kind of concludes this video. Obviously, I'm over here on Twitter as well at coinpressdaily, so come along and say hi. But that pretty much concludes the rest of this video. So I hope you found some value in that. I hope you can add that to your research. If you did find some value, please come along and subscribe to the channel and give the video a little like. It's really, really appreciated. Come and join the community. So all in all, let me know what you think. What do you guys think? Do you think that this halving is going to have a significant impact on Bitcoin in the long term, or are we going to plummet, or are we going to be hitting the moon in the next couple of weeks? What do you guys think? Drop a comment in the comment section below on this video, and let me know if there's any kind of topics that you'd like covered as well. But that concludes the video for today. So once again, hope you found some value in that, and I'll catch you in the next one.